Hey guys, it's Michelle with Adventure Mentality. We're trying a different venue today. I've got a different camera set up, and so just kind of seeing how things are going. And I've got a fun video for you today. My family and I just got back a couple weeks ago from an 11-day trip to Orlando. We did Disney and Universal, and I just want you guys to guess what my 10-year-old daughter's favorite part of the whole trip was. I'll give you a couple seconds. Write your answers down below in the comments. So if you wrote anything to do with Disney, Harry Potter, the parks, or anything, you would be wrong. Here's a little clip of her favorite part of our whole trip. Why? Why you gotta do stuff like that?
Wait, what do you see?
So yes, her favorite part of the whole trip was finding and catching lizards that are abundant in the Orlando, Florida area. So that actually brings me to the topic of my video today, which is the expectations that you might have when taking your kids to Disney or Universal and the reality of those expectations. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first expectation that I had while on this trip was that I was going to get tons of pictures and videos that I would be able to use for vlogs and info for the YouTube channel. And while I did get quite a bit of footage from the first couple days, as the time went on, I did not get nearly as much as I was hoping. And I didn't get as much usable footage that I could put in videos. And so it was just a little disheartening when I got back and saw exactly what I got and what I wish I would have gotten. So here's a tip to kind of help make sure you are able to get the footage that you want. Set reminders in your phones, an alarm to go off to remind you to take pictures or videos of things that you want to get pictures and video of. Suggestion number 2 is to make a list of specific things that you want to get pictures of or video of. And then the third tip is, if you're traveling with other adults, you can designate other people to take pictures, you can designate people to do videos, and just kind of make sure that you have those roles down and everybody knows what they're supposed to be doing so that you can get the footage that you want of your trip. We got lots of pictures. We traveled with my mom and she likes to take a lot of pictures too. So we did get a lot, but I noticed that as the time went on throughout our trip, I got less and less each day. I wasn't as on top of getting the pictures that I should have been. So that was the first reality check, was that with kids, it's a little more difficult because you're trying to make sure that they're eating, that they're having a good time, that they're staying hydrated. And pictures honestly kind of fall by the wayside sometimes. So set reminders, designate other people to help out, and make a list of things that you want to get. The second expectation that you might have when you go to the parks is that you're going to be able to hop around really easily and pretty quickly, but I found that is not the case with my family, at least. We travel with a stroller because I have a 3-year-old, and as many of you know, 3-year-olds, they also like to take their time. They don't want to be strapped in a stroller the whole time. They want to walk some, they want to get out and see stuff. And so it's just kind of difficult to move quickly when you're moving at their pace. And I had to remind myself several times that this trip is for them It's not for me. If I want a trip for myself, I need to go by myself. And so that's my take on it. Even if you don't travel with a stroller, your bigger kids are still gonna need breaks. It's hot in Florida. There's a lot going on. It's still crowded even with COVID right now, and especially with the mask requirements being relaxed, it's gonna get even more crowded. So here are a couple tips I have to manage that expectation. For traveling with strollers, make sure that you pack everything in an easily removable bag. So when you have to break down the stroller when you're getting on a bus, or if you don't want to leave valuables behind in the stroller, you can just pick it up and go, because a lot of times you can't take the strollers through lines, and on most of the transportation, you're going to have to break your stroller down to get on. The next tip is to take breaks. I know sometimes I like to go, and I realize that with my kids, I have to stop, I have to take breaks, I have to kind of just sit and relax some, and I can't be continuously on the move. Don't plan on doing everything at once. Don't try to cram everything into one day. I do understand that if you have a limited time, you want to do as much as you can with that time. So make lists of must-do things, things that you really want to see, and stick to that. If you get anything else done, then those are bonuses. But just go in with realistic expectations of how long you're going to be waiting in line, what you're going to be able to accomplish, and make sure that you are going at your kids' pace, because some kids are going to be able to keep up a little quicker pace. Some kids are not going to be able to keep up a little quicker pace, depending on ages, depending on their moods, depending on when they've last eaten. The next expectation that I had was that my kids were going to care about any type of plans that I had made.
Doesn't matter. There are only 4 rules you need to remember. Make the plan, execute the plan, expect the plan to go off the rails, throw away the plan.
So I am a planner by nature. That's what I like to do. I like to know what I'm going to be doing. I don't have to have such a strict, rigid schedule, like this hour I'm doing this and this hour I'm doing this. But I like to kind of know a game plan for what's going to happen. I know things are going to pop up. I've learned that over the years, especially with kids. Things just don't always go according to your plans. And your kids are going to care even less about what you have planned. They're not going to care what time you want them to get up. They're not going to care about where you want to eat, when you want to eat, what rides you're going to ride, in what order. They just don't care. If they see something that they want to do or see something that they want to eat, then that's what they want to do. So if you say to them, no, we're going to come back and get it later, it could cause a meltdown. So you kind of just need to be flexible with your plans. It is good to have lists. It is good to have a game plan. You do need to plan certain things. You do need to plan around dining reservations, and meal times kind of need to be a little more set in stone. But there are a lot of things that are going to pop up. They're going to see a lot of things. They're going to want to eat a lot of things. And so you kind of just need to roll with the punches. You're also going to have to realize that your plans are probably not going to go the way that you think they should go. And that doesn't all have to do with your kids. There are going to be things that happen, weather, ride closures during the day. You're going to get hangry. Your spouse is going to get hangry. Somebody's going to fall down and get hurt. Like, they're just random things that could happen, and they're just going to screw those plans up. And so it's good to have plans, but you also need to go in with realistic expectations about how those plans are going to pan out. And yes, my tip for that is to just make sure that you are as prepared as possible. Know about those ride closures. Know about what the weather is going to probably be like. If you're going in the summer, it's definitely going to rain at least once during the day. You need to be prepared for that. And you just kind of have to have a game plan and have those dining reservations booked out and just kind of go with the flow. With kids involved, you kind of have to learn how to be a little bit more flexible. The fourth expectation that you might have when you take your kids to Disney World or Universal is that they are going to be on their best behavior. They're going to be so happy because they are in the happiest place on earth. Well, I'm here to tell you that that is not the case. When you take kids out of their element, or anyone for that matter, they usually don't react as well as you might hope. And so it's a lot of sensory overload. It's a lot of crowds. The heat is bad. That throws things off. That's why it's very important to make sure that you're able to be flexible, that you're able to go at your kids' pace. And remember that when you take your kids on vacation, it is essentially a trip for them. If you want a trip for yourself, then you probably need to go by yourself. And kids are going to be kids. They're going to lose things. They're not going to listen all the time. They're going to be running off when they spot something that they want to see. Honestly, I thought that it would be a little more difficult keeping track of my 3-year-old, but in reality, it was my 10-year-old that I was always looking around for because she was off chasing those lizards all over the place. And the 5th expectation that you might have when you take your kids to Disney World or Universal is that they're going to be excited about the same things that you're excited about. You love these rides, you love these parks, you love the theming, and your kids, while they might enjoy it, and they're definitely going to have some fun, the things that they are most excited for are probably not going to be the same things that you're excited for. And of course, it's going to depend on their ages and their moods. But you might be really excited to ride something and they say they're really excited, but then they decide they're not really excited. And you're going to ask them what their favorite part was, and then you're going to be disappointed when they tell you their favorite part of the whole trip was to catch lizards the whole time. But that's just the nature of traveling with kids, taking them to do things, taking them to experience things. I know my kids are going to remember these vacations that we take, and I know they have a good time. I know it's a struggle for me as the mom and the preparer of all things, but I know that I'm making memories with my kids, and that's what's the most important part. And I have realized as my kids have gotten older that my expectations need to change, and it's just kind of ironic how things tend to work out. But that's going to be it for today. Make sure to keep your expectations at a reasonable level and have fun making memories with your kids, because they're only kids once and this is the only life we get. So let's try to make every day an adventure. See you next time.